जयधारी माँ। हर जीवन अनेक प्रकार के रंगों से भरा हुआ है। बातचीत वही रंग बांटेगी आप सबके साथ। हम सब एक हैं, बस सोच अलग अलग है। बटोर लीजिए उन रंगों को जो भी आप चाहें इस बातचीत से, और ढाल लीजिए अपनी सोच में। यही मकसद है इस बातचीत का। आइए मिलते हैं अपने प्यारे से मेहमान से। अतिथि देवो भव। जयधारी माँ।
जयधारी माँ।
हमारी ऑडियंस का स्वागत है। जयधारी माँ आप सबको नमो एंड प्रणाम टू एवरीवन्स फेथ, डिवोशन, प्रेयर, फॉर्म ऑफ प्रेयर। आज के हमारे अतिथि हैं लूक कटिनो, मिस्टर लूक कटिनो। चर्चा करेंगे वो आपसे अपने काम के बारे में, अपनी शेयरिंग्स के बारे में बहुत कुछ बताएंगे। He's taking us back to our roots. His dedication to the cause is incredible. वो हमें हमारी एंशिएंट विजडम की तरफ वापस लेके जा रहे हैं। He talks about the wellness of the heart, body, mind, soul, and senses. The senses are as important as the other four factors. He talks about complete wellness. Let's see a video on him and meet him and talk to him. जी।
Very welcome.
Hi, how are you?
All very blessed. Very welcome. Very
Thank you.
welcome.
It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to
Thank
be
you.
here.
Thank you. Luke, I read a lovely post of yours in the morning. So basic, so simple. Brush your teeth, do your asanas, get up in the morning, say your prayers, breathe right, sleep right. It's all taking us back to our roots, isn't it? At what point did your journey begin of taking us all back to our roots?
Yeah, we try to keep it simple, but actually, my journey began over the last couple of years when I realized that most health problems today are not being solved with complication. We have so much of complication and sophistication when it comes to medical technology, medicines, nutraceuticals, different ways of working out, different sciences around eating. But how come the world is getting sicker and sicker? Is a question that has always played on my mind. When we have access to more content today, more access to more information, why is there more emotional stress, mental stress? With everything that we have, we should be a happier and a healthier world. So it started me thinking on what's missing. And the gap was lifestyle. We're moving too far away from nature and we're moving too far away from the things that worked. So, it got me, back into what are the fundamentals? What is ancient wisdom? While, of course, we have advanced so much in science, and a lot of science today could have also taken care of a lot of problems 20 years back then. But the point is, there was some ancient wisdom. There were certain things that our ancestors were doing the right way to be happier and healthier. So, how can we take those learnings, and integrate it with modern science, modern medicine, and put together a model that can actually reduce the amount of illness and sickness and suffering that we have today, both physical, mental, spiritual, intellectual, all of it? And that's the concept of what our model revolves around: integrative and lifestyle medicine. We're not alternative medicine. We respect allopathy, we respect everything. But the patient is in the center. What works for the patient is right for him. We can't say medicine is bad if it's working. But can the side effects of medicine be handled better? We can't say Ayurveda is bad. It's working. But what are the lifestyle changes should the patient make? And if allopathy is required, how do you integrate the systems? But that is why we have moved recently back to roots, because when a problem's not getting solved, it doesn't mean we start looking for complication. Sometimes we go back to see, have we missed out the fundamentals? And that's exactly why we moved back to roots.
Luke, do you want to talk about the 5 pillars of wellness that you insist on and then we build on it?
Absolutely. So the 5 pillars that I'm talking about today are not my pillars. It is the fundamentals of the human body. So you see, any IT company, engineering company, anything to work has fundamentals. If the fundamentals work, the system works. And then you can build on it. You can move into complication, advancement. But if the fundamentals are not in place, the most complicated solution or complicated model will continue to break down and fail. So the point is, there are fundamentals of the human body as well. If we can maintain these fundamentals, we can recover better, we can prevent, and we can thrive. If the fundamentals are not in place, then we're constantly looking for quick fixes, things that can give us immediate symptomatic relief. But the root cause of the problem continues to affect us, which is one of the biggest problems, not just in India, but around the globe. Chronic sickness today is people are sick, they're on medication, but they're constantly on medication to keep them from being sick. How do we break that cycle? The symptoms are being treated, but the root cause is not being addressed. Let me give you a simple example. Someone has a headache, you take a medicine, your headache goes. Good, that's okay. You keep getting the headache, how long can you keep taking medication? So you find out that your headache is because you have sleep deprivation, or you're constipated, or you have a deficiency of magnesium. Now you correct these problems, you no longer get a headache, so you no longer require medication. So integrative medicine is based on 4 fundamentals to help you address the root cause of your problem. Like I said, while the medicine is treating your symptoms and you may need it, if you address the root cause of the problem and you address it the right way, then you can eventually get off that medication in most cases. So the pillars that we talk about is number one, nutrition. What you feed your body. Every cell in the human body requires food and oxygen to thrive, to recover, to prevent. So if I'm feeding myself the right nutrition, that is the right energy, that is the right information to cells to perform its functions. If I'm feeding myself the wrong nutrition, I have the wrong chemical messages going out to my cells. So that's our first fundamental. And we talk about balance. I'm not against keto diets and all of that stuff, but every one of these diets have their place. We cannot use them as shortcuts because every individual is unique. What works for me doesn't have to work for you. So number one is balanced nutrition. In balance, because we are products of nature. Nature works in balance. We work in balance as well. We don't need extremes. We need balance. The second fundamental is exercise. I say adequate because we don't need too much, nor do we need too little. We need the right amount of movement and exercise that suits our unique selves. The third fundamental is sleep. Sleep is everything. More than the quantity, it is the quality of sleep that matters. If we're sleep deprived, today's sleep deprivation is connected with every disease, every single disease, ranging from a hormonal imbalance to a cancer to an Alzheimer's, you name it. So sleep is one of our important fundamentals. The fourth is your emotional state of mind. Today, when I look at all of my clients who are 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95 without health problems, there's one commonality. They're emotionally well. The emotional state of mind determines the physical state of body as well. So we look at emotional health as well. And the fifth fundamental is the spirit that each and every one of us have. We all have a spirit within us. That's why we're spiritual beings. If the spirit is in harmony, your health works the right way. If our spirit is in disharmony, we invite disease, or we're more vulnerable to disease that can affect us. So these are the five fundamentals that we have.
You're talking about a very important factor also. That's about listening to your body, listening to your heart, listening to your soul. I have observed that in my mother since I was a little girl. She has a rhythm to her day. She has a rhythm rituals to her day, and she listens to her body and eats accordingly. And she gives that nutrition to her body. Mommy, you want to talk about it, and then we take it to Luke?
How lovely hearing you, Luke.
Pleasure to be here. Pleasure.
It's good that it's but wonderful when I heard you, studied you. I felt good because I was doing unknowingly what you're saying is the right pillars. I think I was surprised myself because I didn't research the way you did. I didn't study the way you did, but I thought that made sense. Your 5 pillars. That made my life more organized and disciplined and fit and enduring and enjoyable. Enjoying the work in uniform while being fit, while being happy, not being stressful, while not giving stress to others. That's for them to choose. But I think it's very interesting what you said. Tell me, were our ancestors not stressed up? Because these days we're all very in a hurry and we are stressed up. We got so much more to do, difficult choices to make. We got more money to spend, or don't know what all to spend on. And we are short of time. We want to do more, but we're short of time, right? I think what was the difference between our ancestors and us now as far as time is concerned, environment is concerned? Could you?
Absolutely, ma'am. It's a pleasure. And, in my line of work, I have the privilege to talk to people in their 90s. I have the privilege to talk to patients who are dying as well, who are aged, 80, 70, sometimes 60 and 50 as well. And I always like to have conversations because, we always go with data. Why wasn't cancer rampant, diabetes rampant, heart attacks rampant with our ancestors? Okay, why is it rampant now? Because these are lifestyle diseases. Out of 100% of the diseases, 4 to 6% are highly genetic. No matter what we do, we can get it. But the balance 94%, they are categorized today as lifestyle diseases, which means they're caused by poor lifestyle. The beauty is they can also be reversed or made better with a change in lifestyle. Now, when we go back to our ancestors, of course they had stress. I speak to so many of them. They had a different kind of stress, very different from us. They had the stress about finding food, money for their children, protection of their children from animals in villages. When I talk to them, it's a very different kind of a stress. But they adapted. They accepted that this is what it is. And when there's acceptance, there's action. So they started building models around that to make it better, to make it safer, or to thrive. They also didn't have as much as we did today, not just in terms of money. So there was simplicity in their life. Think about it. Our ancestors never had phones to keep in touch with one another, but yet they were happier people. They were not worried all the time. They trusted the process of life. That's where religion and spirituality grounded them, to trust that your child who's on a ship to London will be looked after. You can be on a phone, you can be on FaceTime or WhatsApp. So it was a very different mindset and perception. One would think today that because we can be connected with our kids and everyone all the time, that we should be stress-free. But it's more, because too much of anything is a bad thing. So the stress that our ancestors had, our parents had, they also learned to adapt, because life teaches us to adapt. Today, we have a different problem. Entitlement. Entitlement doesn't make us strong. Entitlement makes us weak. When we're constantly looking out for solutions from everyone else, from social media, it doesn't make us strong. We have more information today, but yet the population is so insecure. Our ancestors had very little information. They were more intuitive. What does intuitive mean? They followed their gut instincts. How did they know that this mushroom is poisonous and this one, if I eat it, I'm going to die? How did they know that? There were deaths, maybe through trial and error, but instinct. They looked at animals. Which animal eats this? What happens? So they lived very aligned with nature. And with nature, we naturally thrive. Today, when we're amidst AI and algorithms and everything that thinks it can be smarter than a human being and never will be, the point is we've lost inner connect with our intuition. That inner voice is the most powerful and intelligent voice. I speak many times to my doctors who work, surgeons in the US and all of them, and though everyone is science-based, goes by the book, you know that 99% of the surgeons, when they have a body open in front of them, they will use instinct most of the time to decide, should I cut this? Should I leave this? Should I do that? They don't follow the book. They follow the book for anatomy, for theory, but instinct. Where does that instinct? And that instinct separates the best surgeon from a mediocre surgeon, the best doctor from a mediocre doctor. Instinct is everything. So you see, when today all of us start to listen to the voice in us, I'm telling you, most people let's take for example, the most people who want to fix their weight or disease, they already know what they need to do, but they're not doing it because they're looking for instant gratification, quick fixes, complication. Like if sleep deprivation could solve 90% of the problems, the simple solution would be sleep. But no, we don't want to do that, right? Because we want to find out, is there another way to do it without me sleeping? So the point is, we miss the fundamentals because the world has complicated our thinking. And that's why we have so much of stress. But if we have, in most relationships today, every partner knows what they should do and what they shouldn't do to make their relationship better. Everyone knows, but they're not doing the basics. They want complication. They want therapy. They want everything. I'm not against that, but have you got the fundamentals right? Are you listening to what your heart's telling you? You don't need to ask 10 people on social media or 10 friends whether you should divorce your husband or wife, or whether you should kiss your boyfriend, or whether you should do this or not. That needs to come from within. If you ask 10 people, you're getting 10 opinions which are based on their experiences of life. It doesn't have to be the right one for you. So you see, this is the difference between our ancestors and us. They adapted. The generations before us went through World War I, World War II. They went through famines, depressions, all of that stuff. Did they crumble emotionally? They adapted because the human spirit and body and mind has the ability to adapt. But today, it's not about adapting. It's about being comfortable. Everyone's trying to make everyone comfortable. We lose our ability and our survival instincts to adapt. And when that happens, the system breaks inside of us and outside of us. And that's exactly what's happening today. So these are my observations to answer the question that you asked me.
Lovely. How wonderful. How basic, but how very fundamentally true. Very basic, but substantially true. Is it to value time? What happened with the way they use their time? How does a time today, modern person use time 24 hours? And how did our ancestor use time 24 hours? Have you realized, have you seen a difference? You said a lot.
Absolutely.
Let's look at the way they use the time 24 hours, the morning, the afternoon, the evening, and the night.
This is a brilliant question. See, our ancestors had purpose. Even if that purpose was getting a meal on the table, cooking a meal, going out to search food, going out to there was a purpose, intention, and time.
Purpose.
I always give the example to people who say, I don't have time today. You have time. You've just not organized it. Why do schools work? They follow a timetable. And that's why you can finish the curriculum in a particular time. Why does the Army, the Navy, the police force, the Air Force work? Timetable. Today, no one wants to organize their time. And that's why people, when I sit with some of my clients who are billionaires, and they say, Luke, I have no time to work out. I make them sit. And by the time we finish an exercise in 10 minutes, they have 4 to 5 hours to spare. Where did that 4 to 5 hours come from? Time wasters. Picking up the phone, unnecessarily scrolling, unnecessary conversations because you've not planned. There's no purpose. If I wake up and I plan, these are the things I need to do today. Okay, I have a purpose that I follow. Anything that comes up, something maybe there may be something that we need to handle urgently. But the point is, it's distracting me from what I set out. So a lot of people don't have intention set into their day. And the second thing is, today people don't like routine. Everyone wants to be flexible and free. When you're flexible and free, you've got to also be open to time wasters coming into your life. If you go back into ancestors, there was routine. Today, the world is telling you that you don't need to be bored. Let's give you more and more entertainment. So we are programmed to think that routine is boring. But when you have routine, you save all of your time. So for example, we have 24 hours in a day. Let's say, I'll talk about my schedule. 8 hours of sleep, that's what my body needs. I need 8 hours to function. So I actually don't have a 24-hour day. I have a 16-hour day. Now, how can I be effective with 16 hours? To see my patients, exercise, me time, family time, parent time. So I work with a budget of 16 hours and I make it work. On most days, it'll be successful. Some days you have added things that come up and you may lose time or you may have to sacrifice something out of that 16 hours to make it work. But the point is, like a budget, like a P&L statement. If you do not budget your time, you are losing it. So most people have time. They have time. They just don't know where it's going. And again, priority. So if my priority is social media, then social media is going to take up a lot of time in my day. If it's not my priority, but yet it's taking up my time, it's a time waster. So everyone has to go back to the simple exercise of budgeting your time, making a timetable according to your priority that will leave you feeling successful and fulfilled at the end of the day. And it's possible because if the billionaires can do it, CEOs can do it, all of us can do it. If it was a problem, then everyone would be struggling with time, right? But everyone isn't. It's only those who are not organized with their time that have a problem making time for it. So that's how we see it in our day-to-day patients. It is possible for us to make time and have a fulfilled life as well.
Were they looking at Luke? Saina, if I can carry on one more question, if you have your permission. Because Saina is the boss of the show, not me.
No, please.
Luke, was it they were meeting their need, and are we wetting our greed daily?
Absolutely. Absolutely. See, there are wants and there are needs and there are must-haves. We know that theory for the longest time. There's a lot of greed in today's world. Even enough is not enough for most people. And I'll tell you where this comes from. Because I don't want people to feel bad. All of us as humans in today's generation would have found that we're being over ambitious. We want more and more. And we suddenly stop ourselves. And if we're honest enough, we're being greedy. We actually have enough. But where is this stemming from? Because we're comparing our lives with people all the time. Let's say, for example, person A feels enough and happy life. Now you start scrolling on Instagram and you see other people's lives, and all of a sudden it makes you feel inadequate about your body, about your bank balance, about everything. Because that's how social media is designed, to make you feel inadequate.
Yeah.
You have a great body, you're feeling good, and all of a sudden you see 10 other great bodies and you realize because of true comparison that you're inadequate. And that's where our source of suffering and misery starts. That's where greed starts. We can be ambitious. There's nothing wrong with being ambitious. In fact, I had a conversation yesterday with a billionaire. I said, how much more? How much more? When are you going to stop and enjoy what you have? So he said, Luke, I have enough. It's not about money. It's the thrill of doing business. So I said, that's great. But now, if it's only the thrill of making business, can you start making time for your health as well? Right? So you can't shave off a couple of $1 million deals to make time for your health because you're not going to be able to enjoy your billions if that's your goal. And he said, that's a very good point. So the point is we can be ambitious, but if we want to take more onto our plate, are we preparing ourselves physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually? So it's like the Army again, the Navy and the Air Force. The enemy is constantly getting stronger. That's why the Army, Navy, and Air Force, even if there's no war, they are constantly training every day, studying every day, because they got to be strong if the enemy is getting stronger. So today in a hard world, if I want to take on more and more, and I'm up against pollution and pesticides and food, there's only one solution. Am I making my body and my mind stronger to handle what we have around as potential threats? If I'm not, I'm succumbing with disease and emotional breakdown. So have it all. I'm not stopping you. But if you're doing it at the cost of your health, it is not success. It is failure. It is absolute failure. In the business world, you may be successful. And who are these people who will be enchanted by your lifestyle? The ones who are only focused on money. So they become your role model. But the right role models are the ones who can do everything. Provide for their families, have wealth, give back, maintain health. All of these things together is what the definition of true success should be. We have a lot of people today who are rich and they die of a heart attack. Really, they were only successful while they were alive. They're not an example anymore. So the point is, what legacy do each and every one of us want? What legacy does the billionaire, the successful businessman want to leave behind? That you can build wealth and also maintain health and enjoy your time on this planet. If you just made wealth and everyone's crazy about you and you die of a heart attack and now you have, like no one's talking about you anymore, what legacy did you leave? So it's very important for us to understand that greed, I love what you said, it is a world of greed, period. It's in all of us. Sometimes I find it creeping in me. And because of my mindfulness practice, I remind myself, Luke, this is now greed. Step back, look, because we're human. I'm not ashamed to say that. Step back, it's greed. Is it making you happy? No, go back to your source. You have enough, you're doing good. The more you do of this, if so much got you to where you are, I need to just continue on the fundamentals, right? I don't need to say, no, I need a bigger IT team, I need a bigger, no. The source brought me to this point. The source is what I need to nourish, not all the complication around me. So you are absolutely right. Today, there is so much greed in the world, so much at all levels. Teenagers, kids, parents, young adults, at every single stage. People don't know how much is enough. And that's why they fall back on spirituality. Because spirituality sounds good, but it's only good when you practice it, right? So even spirituality has become a fad today. Everyone can talk spiritual, read books, say I'm doing this. But when I ask them, so why aren't you practicing the essence of your spiritual part? And yeah, I'm struggling with that. Even that's become a fad. So it's all about balance, and greed is basically what is moving us away from our natural alignment with the source and nature. And that's where all our problems are. When we're aligned with nature, harmony. When we move away from nature, disharmony. That's how it is.
Who were our ancestors listening to? Who were our ancestors listening to comparatively? Who are we listening to? And who are our ancestors listening to?
Brilliant question again. So you see, our ancestors didn't have all this information today. So they worked on wisdom, they followed religious paths, spiritual paths, and gut instinct. Today, with so much of information, there's only confusion. Everyone's fighting. My spiritual path is better than yours. I don't even want to talk about religion. Everyone's fighting for different spiritual paths. Spiritual leaders are fighting that my path's better than yours. The point is, it's not about that. It's about the essence as a human being. Like if someone asks me, Luke, who's your role model? I don't have a role model. I have many role models. I'd like to take away a little bit from someone and someone else. If I lock myself with one role model, It doesn't fulfill me. It's not natural to me. I can have 500 role models because there are 500 different things to learn. I work with spiritual leaders across 9 different paths in India. And everyone says, oh, Luke, why aren't you with this path alone? Why should I? There's so much to learn from another path as well. So I think we can be guided, but finally who we need to listen to is our gut instinct. I have thousands of people who are following spiritual paths and yet they're so unhappy. Why? Because while the spiritual path is teaching them something and they're trying to align to it, their gut instinct is telling them something else. It's like teenagers today. Trying to be spiritual, meditate, great, but you're overdoing it. You're a teenager. You're supposed to have fun. You're supposed to experiment. You're supposed to there are phases of life. There are cycles of life. You can't try to do something at an age that's not right for you. Have a grounding of spirituality, but don't try to get so deep into it and yet you're unhappy. As a teenager, you're supposed to have fun in the right way, in a safe way. As an adult, there are certain things that you need to do. That's why as our ancestors reached 50, 60, spirituality gives them strength to get through those years, right? There's a cycle of life. If we're moving away from nature, it becomes struggle. Anything that becomes struggle, you're moving away from your alignment. When it's easier because you're in harmony with it. So all these things are things that we can learn from our ancestors. They listened to one leader. It became easier. Today, everyone wants to listen to everyone. And that's where all the confusion and suffering is.
Back to you, Sana. I've had my fill.
I hope and pray the youth are listening to this. I hope and pray the youth are listening to what Luke is saying. We need a stop doing list as much as we need a to-do list. So now we need a list which says stop doing all this. And
True.
Start doing all this. Look, the Bhagavad Gita also says Kam, Krodh, Lobh. Lord Krishna has said Kam, Krodh, Lobh, lust, greed and anger.
Yeah.
By anger I mean a lot of inner frustration. Why are we comparing ourselves? Everybody is so unique. Can you talk about
Absolutely.
how people are getting into comparisons?
Yeah, Lord Krishna says that every religion, even in the Bible, there are 7 deadly sins. Anger, greed, lust, all of that. And now see, there are 2 things. Today, everyone's trying to be good. They're all trying to be good. I get angry, I need to see a shrink. There are 2 kinds of anger. There's righteous anger. Intentional righteous anger. Anger, like if I see a young girl being molested on the road, I need an emotion of anger for me to step in and stop that, to protect the girl or protect who's being attacked. Righteous anger. Absolutely. The police force needs righteous anger to discipline criminals. Nothing wrong with that. But you see, it's all portrayed the wrong way in society today. Now, if I'm creating anger in me because of envy, comparison, ego, pride, that is the anger that is dangerous for you, people around you, and your own health. But today, the problem is everyone's trying to be good. Everyone's trying and holding up that facade to try to be good when inside you're envious, all of that stuff just makes you such an unhappy person. The point is the 7 deadly sins, like the Vedas say, like the Bible says, is in every one of us. A baby who's born has all the 7 deadly sins. A baby displays jealousy, manipulation, anger, greed, everything. It's in us. But religion and spirituality teaches us to tame it. To tame it. We have consciousness, unlike animals. That consciousness allows us to tame these sins. So you see, the point of anger today, most of it is self-made because of ego and pride, constant comparison. Entitlement. Whoever said that when you're dating, your partner has to be with you for a lifetime? Whoever gave you that entitlement? The movies, songs, books? Of course, no one has to love you forever. Maybe you can go through 10 relationships before you find love again. Whoever said that you shouldn't get sick no matter how fit you are? We wish, but if it happens, it happens. We can't be angry. We need to accept it and move on. Whoever said that success is only a one-way road, without failure? Whoever said a happy life is without struggles and without sadness? You see, this is a feeling of entitlement because we look at content that portrays this, that happiness means no suffering. Whoever said that? So when we change our perception to what's happening, it is the only way we can change our emotional health. Everything, the word is perception. When we remind ourselves that we are going to die. I keep telling this to everyone. If you want to be inspired to live well, just remember that you and everyone around you is going to die. That's the best inspiration to live an abundant life. To forgive. You need inspiration to forgive. Here's your inspiration. You, everyone's going to die. Why you want to hold a grudge? It's difficult. It's not easy. I'm agreeing to that. But stop the process because it's hurting you. So you see, a lot of emotional problems today is made because of this perception. We feel entitled all the time. We feel that life has to only work for us. And when it's working for us, we're on the top of the world. But the moment it doesn't work for us, we emotionally crumble. And that's the thing happening in the world of parenting today. Difference between parenting and ancestors and now. Because parents are constantly telling their kids, you're the best, you're loved, you're whatever. Which is good, but prepare them for the real world. Because the moment they step out into the real world, no one gives a damn about them. People are going to tell them, who cares about you? It's a cruel world. And then they crumble. Because they've grown up thinking that, oh, everyone has to love me, I'm protected, I'm pampered, and all of that stuff. And that's why we have a breakdown in the emotional system today. It's making people too soft. There's nothing wrong with being soft, but there's everything wrong with being soft in a world that is hard. So while we can teach compassion and empathy, we also need to teach strength, values, courage, adversity, resilience. And then the system corrects itself. Because again, why did the system work 15 to 20 years ago? Why is it breaking down today? So you got to look at the data and the statistics. It's because people have become too soft. Policies and rules have become too lenient. It's allowing where there needs to be a rule, there needs to be a rule. But the point is, how we do it with compassion, with empathy, that's the difference. That's the difference. So these are the things I'm talking to you based on the kind of patients that we see today. Someone on antidepressants because his girlfriend said that I don't want to be with you anymore. And the boy is like, oh, she's my life. She's good. Go through the grief. It's hard. Heartbreak is hard. But it's about time you start getting out of it and knowing that there are other girls or other boys that you can't get in touch with. You have to lead them on that path. But what's the world, most of the world doing? Oh, you're depressed. Come to me. Speak your story to me every week. Yeah, take this pill. You'll feel better. I'm not against medicine for this, but can you counsel them to also toughen up? Because that's what they need. Let's go back to schools before. Bullying is more rampant today with psychological disorders that follow. What happened in school before? You bullied, you punched, okay, mom came to school, dad, all of that over. Today, you punch the bully, the school psychologist has made you the victim. Oh, you punch someone, violence, come, become my patient now. This is happening in schools across the country today. So the point is, we've disabled the self-defense at an emotional and physical level of a child. So the child, whenever is hit with adversity in life, needs therapy, needs a shrink, needs medicine, needs drugs, needs alcohol. And that's why everything I'm talking about is on the rise today, despite being in a world where we have everything, comfort, content, and all of these things. So, anger, when people are angry, I always say, ask yourself, what is your source of anger? If it's righteous, great. You can watch the news, find something's not working out, you'll feel anger in your heart. But my point is, every other kind of anger which is becoming chronic, every day you're angry, every day you're snappy, every day you're frustrated. The problem is within you. And only you can solve it by stopping to compare yourself, facing fears, accepting certain things about life, changing perceptions and belief systems that you built up to protect yourself, lowering the ego and pride. All of these come together. And that's the gap that I see in today's world.
What were the methods of self-watch earlier and methods of self-watch now?
Of self, sorry?
Self-watch, self-witnessing, self-watch, self-restraint. What were the methods of self-restraint by our ancestors? And what are the methods of self-restraint, if any, now?
Okay. So I think patience is their answer over there. And ancestors and stuff, of course, people fought. There were murders. There was all of that stuff or whatever. But life moved at a pace today because everyone's on the edge. Our reaction time compared to our response time is way quicker. And that's also driven by ego. It's also driven by ego. See, like right now, if someone says something nasty to me, okay, my ego wants to respond immediately because my ego's job is to make me feel good and right all the time. But if I listen and I come back later with a response, I'm not going to be a doormat. I'm not going to accept what the person said, but I come back with a response, thinking in that space between reaction and response. Maybe this person's having a bad day. Maybe he just doesn't like me. I will still respond. But now I'm not thinking with my ego. I'm thinking with my brain and my heart. So the difference is there was more peace at that particular point in villages because the egos were controlled. There was no need to do that. Today, why don't we need our egos to protect us? Because again, we want to be someone in society. We're scared of being judged. We're scared of being ridiculed. We're scared of being compared amongst one another. So when that comes into a society, it's only the ego that can protect you. So when you look at a lot of stuff happening on social media or even in real life society today, all of us know most of them are ego-driven behaviors, which is not necessary if we are being who we are. When we're trying to be someone else, when we're trying to portray a facade to our world, to our people, even in our relationships with everyone, there's a lot of energy that goes into holding up that facade, and that's your ego. And that's why it becomes so frustrating. But when you decide that one day when you mature and say, this is who I am, this is who I am, accept me, don't accept me, what happens? You're living life not from a space of ego, which means small things don't trouble you anymore. You have the space to respond rather than react. You build your own inner peace. People who don't have inner peace today is because they have an ego and pride that controls every decision and behavior of them. So that's how it is.
I'm glad we've spoken about all these emotions. Talking about emotions and heart, we're going to take 2 minutes and show you your heart, and then carry on the conversation.
If you haven't seen it already.
No, I haven't. I'm
No.
interested.
You showed. See, you show others their heart.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much. That is so touching. And you are right. That is my heart space.
Yes.
So you got it right.
And-
Absolutely.
And we carry forward our conversation because there's a lot to ask you, but we do it together. There's a surprise for you. We do it together. Heart, body, soul, mind. We do it together. Please let's get them on the show, please. That's surprise. That's a surprise for Luke.
Wow.
Wow. Oh, lovely.
That's Daddy.
Oh, wow. It's amazing. Thank you so much.
Hi.
Hi. How are you all? Good.
Natasha,
Lovely.
very welcome.
Thank you.
Natasha
Thank
is,
you so much, Tiana.
yes, yes, and that's little Tiana. Tiana, hello.
Hi.
Hi. Hi. Lots of love. That's Luke's daughter, and that's Luke's wife. She's also the MD and CEO of the vision that they're sharing together. Would you like to talk about that, Natasha? The vision that you share together?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, a lot of people only know this part of Luke and haven't been a part of the journey from where it all started. But
Yes.
it all started like 7, 8. In fact, I would say about 10, 12 years ago when we were both still with IBM and Luke was working multiple jobs. He would wake up at 5 in the morning, go train his clients, and go back, do a full day at work, come back home, make his own dinner. In between all of that, already working on snippets of his first book that he published. So it's been a really interesting journey, from the small team that we started off with. At IBM, finally he decided that this was his main calling, this was his main passion, and he decided that it's only fair that we follow that passion. And of course, after Tiana was born, I went back to work as well. And I remember him saying to me, "Why are you working for another company? Come work for me, and let's grow this together." And that's how the whole thing started. We started with a small team. I think there was Luke and another nutritionist, and now we're a large team of almost 170 people. Team Luke, as we go by, and we're all very proud of everyone that's part of it. Our team.
Yes. Tiana, sweetheart, you want to say something? Or Daddy and Mommy?
Oh, Daddy, what they want to know?
Daddy's actually very good on the camera, but actually he's a naughty daddy.
Naughty Daddy. Now tell
Thanks,
us,
Tiana.
what makes Daddy naughty? Tell us.
At night he goes and we always play funny games and sometimes on the weekend, Daddy goes to the fridge in the middle of the night to eat something.
He raids the
That's the secret out. Bless
He
you.
picks a chocolate. He picks a hidden chocolate for himself. Maybe he's hidden a nice
Couple
chocolate.
of them, actually. Couple of them. Yeah.
Couple of them. So now we know what you like, Luke, on the sly. Some chocolates. That's wonderful.
Oh, who's that,
That's-
Tiana?
That's
Sneaky.
your cat.
Yes.
What's her name?
Sneaky.
Sneaky.
Yeah, that's our
Hello,
new pussycat.
Sneaky.
Pussycat.
Say hi.
Get Sneaky on the show.
Hi.
Sneaky, hi.
Meow. Meow.
That's Sneaky. Tiana, Lord bless you. Do you pray with Daddy together? Do you pray with Mommy and Daddy?
Yes.
Yes. What do you pray? How do you pray? What do you pray?
Just sit down and pray. Sissy, stop scratching.
How do we
Okay.
normally pray? We normally at the end of the day before going to bed, we all get into bed. We of course put her to bed a lot earlier, so we all sit in bed and we don't normally just pray, but we basically thank the Lord for everything that we're grateful for today. So we try to find 3, 4, 5 things. Sometimes it could be just 1 or 2 things, but something that we're grateful for. Of course, always our own health, our parents' health and well-being. But that's something we normally do every day before going to bed at night.
That's beautiful. You promote families eating together, coming together for dinner. How much do you promote that? Where families do dine together, not late night dinners outside all the time, formal dinners, official dinners, but home dinners where they dine together and then they pray together. How often do you find that missing?
100%. We promote that because today a lot of families, it'll actually build a culture of health and togetherness in families. If families eat together, because if you're not eating together, then your distraction becomes the phone or the TV, which you shouldn't be doing when you're eating together. And since most families today, people are working, no one's connected, at least these meal times or one meal time in a day, it's nice for the family to get together, eat together. And especially if you have children, because your children are watching what you eat. It's very important. Rather than the parents telling the children to eat greens and order them what to do, when they see you eating it, it becomes part of the family culture automatically. So we absolutely promote people eating together, praying together, something I've learned from my dad and mom. We always said the rosary throughout our lifetime. So I think it's also nice to do it together because you get that time to align and it builds an energy. Everything in life is an energy. So yes, 100% is what we promote that actually and encourage people to.
And the cooking? Who cooks? Is it gender boxed or is it gender neutral?
It's gender neutral, to be quite honest. I love to cook. Natasha doesn't like to cook at all. We have someone to help us because I can't obviously cook all the time. But yeah, we have someone who helps, at home to cook for us. Ideally, that's how it is. Basically. Yeah.
You promote that gender neutral cooking home?
I don't bring in the gender neutral thing. I just try to tell people, and a lot of men and women, that learn how to cook. It's not about me being in the kitchen. It's a survival skill. There's so much of joy in cooking. Some of my billionaire clients, they cook. They go home to cook. It's their stress buster. And the point is, why should a man be dependent on a woman or a woman be dependent on a man to cook? Learn how to cook. It's basic survival. Because everyone who doesn't, they use Maggi noodles. My point is, what's the shame in learning to cook? What is the point? It's such a beautiful thing to do. And of course, I myself, as much as I would like to cook, I don't have the time, so I will have a cook at home. But the point is, if my cook isn't there tomorrow, I can still cook. I can cook for my entire family. For days if I have to, we will eat food. I don't have to Swiggy or Zomato because I can cook. I still may Swiggy and Zomato if I want to eat outside food, but I can still cook. It's something that I believe children should be taught in school, boys and girls. It's not a gender thing. It's about individuality and it's about having a skill to cook so you're not dependent. Otherwise, you have an excuse. Men go abroad and stuff. Oh, I can't cook, so I'm eating junk. That's an excuse. Learn to cook. I have men who are 45 who have learned to cook. I have women who are 45 who have learned to cook. So a lot of women have, even if they want to cook today, they don't cook because they believe that they've been pushed into that whole gender thing that, oh, why should I cook? The point is, move out of that frame of mind. Cook because you love it. not because you have to. Because you're in
Yeah.
control of the oil that you use, you're in control of the ingredients. It's not a man-woman kind of a thing anymore. It's about you being able to select your ingredients, cook it, and of course, if you don't have the time, have a cook. But it shouldn't become a man-woman, woman-man thing. I believe everyone. I'm going to teach my daughter how to cook. She should know how to make the basics. Even if I have a cook, the cook has already taught my daughter how to make a simple dal, all of that, and she cooks, and she loves cooking. So the point is, we can do it. It's not something that we get to choose. We should know how to cook, at least the basics. That's what I believe.
Lovely.
Can we do a little Baatcheet with Tiana? Tiana, this is a little Baatcheet with you. What's your favorite color?
Purple.
Purple. Wow. And which is your favorite place to go to?
Goa?
Cool.
No,
Go on,
Australia.
tell.
Australia.
Australia? Lovely. Lovely. And what's your favorite subject?
Writer's workshop.
Writing.
No,
Writing.
And you like reading or watching
I like to read and watch.
and watching? Okay. And Daddy said you know how to cook a little dal?
No, I know how to make prawn risotto and eggs.
She's showing off now, yeah?
Photo.
But she makes an amazing prawn risotto. Her prawn risotto is unbelievable. Unbelievable. So,
Tiana, Daddy's saying that the prawn risotto you make is unbelievable. Yummy. Auntie is a vegetarian. But auntie
Make a
is-
mushroom risotto for auntie.
you can make a mushroom risotto for her, right?
Is it prawn vegetarian?
No, prawn is seafood.
prawn is seafood, but that's lovely. The Lord bless your family. Coming to a little question, this is what's coming to my mind. You all of you, both of you are into sharing your gift and giving care. How important is the energy and the love a caregiver holds in their heart? How important is the energy of the caregiver?
So I think the energy is, everything is energy. So if I start off my day on a bad note, okay, because for example, Natasha and I have had a fight, okay, I'm giving you an example. The energy that I can give my patients is completely different from the day when I start my day off well.
Absolutely.
So as a caregiver, a doctor, a surgeon, and I speak to this about all my counterparts. We have pediatric surgeons in Canada. They all say the same thing, which is why it is so important for us to be able to disconnect the two. It's the same thing with my nutritionists. I just gave you my example because I like leading by example. It's the same thing with my nutritionists and doctors. If they've had fights with their spouses or parents, they have a miserable day giving that energy to their patients. You know, so everything is energy. Every single thing is energy. So I believe that we are responsible for our own energy, and we have to build environments around us, because that, imagine if that energy changes me, what's it doing to a patient? A patient who is in an environment of poor energy, constant fights, toxic relationships, they can never heal. They can never get better, right? So your question about energy is so dynamic. We have to learn how to create it. That's why mindfulness, forgiveness, letting go, or making changes. Sometimes you've got to make changes in a toxic relationship only that you can, so that you can maintain your own energy, where you need to use it to create energies in other people's life. So that's how the principle of energy works. And there's never going to be a perfect world where your energy is going to be all good all the time. You've got to work towards it. And that's the hardest part of a job, you know, of a doctor, of a nutritionist, of a caregiver, or that's the hardest part, because the patient is dependent on your energy. So you have that whole burden of trying to, you know, you gotta maintain that energy right through. And that's how it is. It's a brilliant question. Thanks for asking that. I mean, if Natasha wants to answer that as well, I'm sure she can.
Yes, Natasha, please.
I think Luke rightly said it, you know, like Luke and I think all of our team of nutritionists that are actually dealing with clients, you know, when you're already dealing with someone that needs help or needs support, your own frame of mind is so important. I can't motivate somebody if I'm not feeling motivated myself. So I think us as a back-end team as well, you know, we're constantly trying to make things easier for them so that they're not stressed out at work. They're, you know, able to maintain their own work-life balance. And we're not a corporate structure in any way. We're trying to be as non-corporate, so as flexible as possible. In fact, out of about out of about 164 people that work with us, I think almost 160 of them would be women, all working moms, some of them married, some of them not, some of them with kids. So the fact that we can give them that platform as well, where they can, feel accomplished in life as well as run their homes and their families, is really good.
You have a very loving team. You've held them together.
Yes, we have.
You're holding your team together and you're nourishing them, and they are going further to nourish so many people out there.
And we're successful because of that. We're 100% successful because of that. Because if we have a demotivated team, there's no way we would have reached this level of success. We may have reached it to a level which is much smaller than today, but it's impossible to reach this level without our team. And our team is amazing. We have ups and downs, of course, like any team. But I think we have one of the most amazing teams, and that's why we are successful. That is why they are successful, and most importantly, that's why our patients are successful. So that's how the system works. That's how the cycle works.
Luke, what are the key methods you adopt or practice in keeping your team recharged, positive, motivated, together? What are the key practices, if any, the key ones?
Yeah, so I don't follow the book. What makes me happy? Like, I built my whole vision of my company. What made me happy when I was practicing alone? I wanted the flexibility of dressing the way I want. Okay? I wanted the flexibility, even if I'm on a holiday on a beach, I can still speak to my patients. I can still be there for them. So knowing that, I built that flexibility first in my life, and then I built it into their lives. So today, my nutritionists work from New Zealand, Switzerland on holidays. They work from beaches. They work from wherever it is. And they love that. They have that flexibility. We have many girls in our team who have taken breaks, pregnant, got their kids, come back to work because they know they have a job, had their second child, and come back to us. So technically, what I would want for myself, what Natasha would want for themselves, is what we've tried to create, what we want for ourselves, we've created for the team. So I don't like to be bound by corporate rules and this should be that, all of that. Sometimes there's a lot of sense in corporate rules because it keeps hierarchy, discipline. But we want to go beyond that because I need my nutritionist and my doctor to be happy when they're treating my patient. If they're not, they cannot give their best service. Because a lot of what we do, while there's medicine, there's lifestyle nutrition, we primarily give care and love to our patients. And for that, you can't fake that. You can't learn that. We got to create it. So if my nutritionist is unhappy today, a nutritionist, I'll give you an example. Today, in between my day, I had one of my most valuable, all my team's valuable, but I'm saying valuable for this girl because she's been with me from the start. She called me up and she said, I need to speak with you. And I spent 2 hours with her because she was going through certain problems. And she said, Luke, I need to be happy if I need to continue being the best. So we spent that time, we worked with her. And that's what we continue doing because our next goal is our next patient. It's as simple as that. So we're as flexible as we can. I try to stay away from the corporate part of structures because I never liked it. And I don't like rules. But I follow the rules. I'm speaking to an ex-inspector and all of that stuff. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, I'm the kind of guy, if someone puts a rule, I look for 10 ways to break it first. Because I don't like to be controlled by a rule. I'll look for 10 ways to break it. And that's what's made me successful at my job. So when someone says this is an impossible cancer case, I will find a way to solve that problem. So, the point is we've tried to be lenient, yet disciplined, yet assertive, and that's what's worked for us. That's what worked for us. And there's one thing that I keep reminding my team, while you can, as organizations grow, people want more money, and that's absolutely yes. Our payment model for 90% of our team is the most unique concept that we have in India. If I make money, my nutritionist and doctor makes money. How does that work? They're not on fixed salaries. So if we get more patients, they're making more money. So my nutritionist, my highest paid nutritionist example could make 5 lakhs a month based on how we do. So if we do a good job at a patient, that patient tells 10 other people. Those 10 people come to us. Who gets the service then? That nutritionist. So the model is built in such a way that you can become as wealthy as you want. There's one thing that we're going to take back from you, your best that you give your client. So that's the model we work on, and it's a successful model. At the end of the day, if I'm growing, my team grows. So the people who don't grow, don't grow. The people who grow, grow. There's always going to be two kinds of people. So it becomes an inspiring model by itself.
How much are you stretched out? Aren't you in too much demand which you're unable to meet, Natasha?
I'm not
Are you
stressed.
very
I'm not
stretched out?
stressed.
Stretched
I'm
out?
not stressed at all.
Not stressed, stretched.
Stretched. Oh yeah, I am stretched, and I think the biggest thing is because I mean, there's one of me, and people want to meet me before they meet my team. But I think I've become a little more assertive. I know how to handle it. We have a great pipeline. So now people know that pipeline. So they know that as long as we spoke to Luke for 5 minutes, we go to your team. But give me that 5 minutes.
Right.
So some days are stretched because you have ad hoc cancer cases. Someone gets diagnosed, and of course, there's so much trauma with that. They want to speak. They want some reassurance. So those days are a little bit stretched. We have patients in, London and New York, East Coast, West Coast. So sometimes the nights get stretched. But it's a beautiful model. I don't see it as a problem. There's always a solution. Build a bigger team. So we look at putting people in Dubai, in the US, and so they can handle those people. There's always a solution. So I don't think I'm stretched. There are days which are stretched, and then there are days which are brilliant. So that's what life is, right? It's going to have
Do you do
everything.
induction? Luke, do you do an induction any induction in the team? Or they just walk in and you get them going? Do a little induction because they need to be understanding you.
There's a lot of induction. There's a lot of unlearning because a lot of nutritionists and doctors come with a fixed mindset. I was taught about this. Carbs are bad. Sugar is bad. This is bad. So we need to make them unlearn. So our training is very, very rigorous. Our induction process is beautiful. They get to know us. At any given point, there are 100 nutritionists who are waiting to work with us. There are innumerable doctors who want to work with us. But in our line of work, if they're willing to unlearn, if they're willing to, be beyond the system, we don't need the most qualified people. I need the most passionate people who have skill and will. And that's how our induction model works. So yes, there's a lot of training that happens literally every week because we constantly learn. Disease is changing. Lifestyles are changing. So we can't go by our system, which was 9 years ago. It's changed. It's all different. So we have to keep learning and we have to keep training.
Yes, Anna.
It's time, but there's so much to ask Luke about so many things. But I do want to ask you, Luke, before we let you go. You've dealt with all kinds of emotions, issues, health issues. Is there a common factor that you see amongst those people who make a resolve to overcome their challenges? Is there a common factor? Is there any emotion that you see that keeps them going?
See, it's hope and belief, right? And it's also, realizing at the end of the day, no human is perfect. No human is perfect. Even the top spiritual leaders I work with are not perfect, and they're humble enough to admit that. The first word is acceptance. Okay, it's what we expect, because if we think everything is right about us all the time, right, then you're operating from the source, which is ego, not from yourself. No one is perfect. Not even the best person is perfect. We can build, facades and stuff, like I said. So the common emotion is denial. There's a root to this. No one's at fault today. If there's an angry person, if there's an envious person, it's linked back to their childhood, the way they were brought up, society, the friends they kept. So it's not your fault, but it's your fault if you're not willing to change. It's your fault if you're not willing to put in the work to change that. You can't always go on from an ego point that this is how it is and this is how it should always be. Finally, you're going to be the one suffering. While you create suffering for everyone around you, you're the one going to be suffering. So the people who emotionally mature, they do it with understanding and with the want to feel better about themselves. Because you can't make other people, like Natasha said, you can't make other people feel better unless you feel good about yourself. So the point is, the people who emotionally mature is because they accept. And I keep trying to tell people, the more you try to show people that you're the most honest, perfect person, the more denial you live in. Because there is no one out there who can be 100% honest. I give this simple example about women and men in relationships who demand honesty. Okay? Were you honest when you were dating your boyfriend or your girlfriend? You lied to your parents. It's a lie. It's dishonest. Now you're just building a context that suits you in your relationship. Dishonesty exists, but it can be tamed. Intentions can be set. So no one is without sin in this world. And the sooner we accept that, the more peace we make with our advancement in evolution. It's as simple as that. A lot of people get angry inside, but they're showing the world they're calm. That anger is causing your cancer today. It's rotting you from inside. That resentment, that guilt. So action is the word. People who emotionally evolve, they take action. They change themselves. They stop trying to change people around them. You stop trying to change people around you. You change yourself. And this is the essence of emotional maturity. A medicine can't fix this. A drug can't fix this. A food can't fix it. The person has to fix it on their own. That's how it works.
I wish we could go on because I
We'll ask
wanted
you
to
more. Yeah.
ask you more. Natasha, you're part
But
of
we'll
the
keep track of your YouTube. We'll keep track of your YouTube channels
yes.
where you talk to us and so often. You talk to everybody so often, regularly. Very good, Luke. You are continuing to upgrade mindsets. Probably dry clean them and make them see their mirrors. Luke, we watch that.
Thank you. Thank
You
you.
really showed the people the mirror. Say, now you judge for yourself.
Thank
Right,
you.
Sam?
Yes, yes. Natasha, you're a part of an incredible journey with Luke. So what's your vision ahead?
Our
What's your
vision ahead is, of course, to continue, helping people, making sure we're able to. It's not about how many clients we have, it's really about impacting people's lives. So we're not really, today we have to have 200 clients, tomorrow we want to be 300 and then 1,000. It doesn't matter to us. For us, it's about really the quality of clients that come to us and the lives we're able to impact. So I think that's our overall mission. And like Luke rightly said, there's no point doing all of this if we can't maintain our own well-being and balance. So to also be able to enjoy life ourselves, to be able to spend time with each other, with our daughter, and that's something we'd like our team to do as well, to be able to have that family time. So which is why we don't overburden any of them with a lot of clients. We say some team members might have 5 clients that they're taking on because they may have just had a baby, but I have another team member that might be handling 40 clients because they have the bandwidth to. So it's about balance in everything that we do, and we try to help our team members also follow that.
Lovely.
lovely?
So many messages and takeaways.
Yes. Tiana,
Yes.
oh, will you be my friend?
Okay.
Okay. So we're going to be friends.
Pass.
And you want to share your love with daddy and mommy? You want to say something to them?
Daddy, what time are you gonna come home?
Oh,
Right after this.
We
Right
need to
after
let you
this.
go.
so we're not going to hold you longer.
We've got the message.
Yes,
We've
Betty?
got the message.
You said something?
This is daddy's time. We've taken 8 minutes from daddy's time. 6 o'clock is daddy's time to go home.
Tiana, you have any message? Do you have any
Do you
message?
have a message?
No.
You want to say something? No. That's the message. That's, yes, live and let live. That's the message. Yes, that's the message. Tiana, we love
Yeah.
you. We love you. And you're a really, really sweetheart.
Lovely.
You're a
Blessed
sweetheart.
family, a blessed Goan family. I guess Goa has a full impact on you. Goa is very special. Goa is very special to give you this beautiful mindset. I'm so happy. Thank you.
Yes.
God bless you.
Mama,
Bless you.
bless all of you. Thank you so much. May the Lord be with you always and your family
Thank
and your
Thank you.
All your prayers
And with
be
you
answered.
all as well.
yes.
All your
Thank you
patients
so
be well.
much.
Thank
Natasha, thank you so much.
Oh, this is bye. Thank you. Bye, baby.
Thank you. Only it was daddy and now
Bye bye.
we love you.
That's an e-hug for you.
Tiana,
Baby, it's
you
an e-hug. Can I give you an e-hug? An e-hug?
Yes, thank you so much.
It's an e-hug? Yeah.
Tiana, like
Tiana?
this. A hug is like
Yes.
this. Do it
It's an
like-
e-hug.
Yeah.
Now it's hug.
An
Okay.
e-hug.
Yeah. Okay.
Bye bye. And a lot of
Tiana, you made this Baatcheet most special.
yes. Very
you.
unique.
You made it most special for us.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
Very, very special family as well. Thank you.
Yes.
Very
Thank
blessed.
you. Thank you for having us. Thank you for
God,
having
may
us.
the Lord
Yeah.
bless them. Thank you.
He
हमारी
says,
audience keep saying
he says bye to you except he's sleeping.
Yes, she's sleeping.
What did you say?
Lot of her little catty is sleeping.
Okay, okay.
Yes,
We
she's
won't
sleeping.
disturb her now. And Daddy
No.
should be home soon now. Go
Daddy
ahead.
should be now home. This is not right. Daddy should be home. Daddy should always be home, and Ma bless the family. May Lord bless the home and family. हमारी
you.
ऑडियंसेस का बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया कि आप हमें ज्वाइन करें और
और
आपने आज
कितना कुछ सीखा, आज कितना कुछ सीखा ल्यूक से.
सीखा पर आपने एक बात आज सीखी, nothing is going to work until you do. So make the resolve and put in the work, put in the prayers, put in the effort, put in the love.
And
put
it's
in
not
your heart.
mysterious. Just be simple.
True.
Just be honest
Absolutely.
and
Go
simple.
back to
And be at peace. Be at peace with yourself. And be
go
giving.
back to your roots.
See all these values.
Ji.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Bye, everyone. See you.
Lots of love. Lots of love. थैंक यू. हमारी ऑडियंसेस का बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया. जय धारी माँ. मिलेंगे अगले महीने आप.